We have one more minute. Oh, yes, sir. Oh. My computer's fast. Good to know. All right, we're good to go, Ben.
Good morning. Today is April 18th, 2022. We're here for the regular Board of Trustees meeting. Call this meeting to order. Ms. Kraft, if you could please call roll.
Mr. Grumbles.
Here.
Ms. Knapp.
Here.
Mrs. Faust.
Here.
All right. Please stand and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. You have any public comment today? We've got recognition here for an Eagle Scout who has been doing a few projects around the township. So, Miss Bonnie, do you have there you go. You want to jump in here, Miss Bonnie, or you want me to take that?
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, I apologize. I'm not sure who brought this to our attention, but we did want to recognize Will Muskoff. Am I saying that correctly? Okay, great. And he did some excellent work at our Glen Oak Park. I just learned what a Gaga pit is, so congratulations, and we really appreciate your service here at the township.
Can you want to come up?
I think Silas has something he wanted to say.
I was just going to give you some framework on Will's project here. Will's been working on this for the last several months, and I'll let Will talk about the process and all the details, not necessarily all the details, but a lot of the steps that you had to go through as far as fundraising and coordination and selecting the location and the group you got to work with as well. But Will did a great job. The Gaga Pit, I don't know if you've seen it at Glen Oak Park. It's very nice. There should be some pictures attached to this as well, hopefully. And then he also complemented his project by doing some tree planting at Roe Park, which is adjacent to the ongoing playground expansion over there at Roe Park. So, Will, why don't you tell the board about some of the steps you went through and how you got to where you are?
So, in order to get Eagle Scout, you have to complete an Eagle Scout project, which is basically either building something, donating money, or doing some sort of project to assist a nonprofit organization. And so a couple years ago, I went to a scout camp, which has since been closed down, but it was there that I learned about Gaga Ball. And I thought, hey, you know what we're really missing around here? We are missing a Gaga Ball pit. So I decided that I would like to build a Gaga Ball pit somewhere around here, and this was just the closest place that I could find, and looked around at all the parks to see which one would be best for building that, and decided on Glen Oak Park. I was going to plant the trees there too, but the power lines would have caused issues I didn't want to deal with, so I decided to put those at Roe Park. And so once I had like a location set up, I needed to get like blueprints and order all the materials to get that set up. I got the wood from 84 Lumber, which is down in Powell. I just ordered the brackets and stuff online, and to put it all together, I had 2 work days. The first one was at my garage. I had around 8 or so scouts and a couple adults help me drill holes in the boards and make sure everything was aligning with the brackets. So the next work day, which was around a month ago, would go as smooth as it could. And I think the unexpected weather and the cold that day might have messed with the brackets a little bit, and some of this stuff didn't fit. That's okay, because we brought drills, we were prepared, and that's really it.
Can you tell us what Gaga Ball is?
My kid is very happy about that.
Yes,
so.
I'm more familiar. So Glen Oak is where I live,
Mhm.
and my children go to the elementary school, and they had Gaga Ball there. I think they had a temporary pit at one point,
Mhm.
and there were some newsletters and such, and I remember reading about it a bit. But can you share with the less experienced out there?
It's a little bit like dodgeball, but the ball stays on the ground. You're trying to hit it into like other people's legs. I think it's either knees or below or hip or below, however you're playing. And if it hits you wherever, then you're out, and keeps going until there's only one person left, and that person is the winner. So
I know the kids there loved it. So it was a
Mhm.
huge hit at Glen Oak. So I appreciate you providing our community
you.
with that. And then as far as the trees, what kind of tree did you plant?
it's autumn blaze.
On Blaze Maples.
Autumn blaze maple.
Not an ash tree?
No.
We cut a few down there.
Lost a few. We'll
Thank
work
you.
work those in down the road.
Thank you for helping restore that.
You're welcome.
Nice gesture. So, well, we have a recognition certificate here. We're going to get this a little bit more formalized for you,
Okay.
and get it signed on some cardstock. A little nicer presentation for you. The person that helps us with this is actually out today, so apologies in advance for not having that prepared for you. But you'll get a copy of it today, and then it's a voucher. It's good for one official award. I'm just kidding. you can. We'll reach out to you when we get it completed. You're welcome to stop by and bring a couple trees with you and put them in the ground if you want, and we'll give you your award.
All right.
Sound good? So it says, in recognition of outstanding community service, honoring Will Muscoff, great appreciation of your Eagle Scout project at Glen Oak and Roe Park. Thank you for going above and beyond serving the citizens of Orange Township.
Thank you.
You'll have two. What's that? Yeah, we'll get a picture real quick too. Anyone have a camera except Lisa? Yeah.
I always have a camera.
I can take a picture too.
Here, right here. Give that to you.
You want to turn them around? Yeah. You guys want to turn around and you can have that on the background? No. So we do in front of that or in front of
Thank you. Oh, good.
We're going to go straight to agenda changes. I know we have a few comments from the Health District, I believe, today. I invite you up to share those comments.
Morning.
Good morning.
Jen Keggy with the Health District. Just a few updates. I don't think I was here last month. I left for Erica and Ben a handout about our partnership. Lisa, you would have gotten that at the DAC meeting. So thank you for coming to that. It's just a little reminder. We have our community health assessment release. We collected that data last year, and so that release will be in May. We will have an in-person event, but also we'll be recording it so you can watch it after. So we'll go over all of the data, and then throughout the summer we'll do all of our health planning, and we'll come up with a new health plan that'll start next year. The other couple updates, I sent a few things to Michelle this morning. We have the household hazardous waste events that are coming up. So there's a flyer that can be shared through social media, your newsletter. And then we also have Naloxone training, if you want any training for your staff here, hold any community trainings, we do have staff available, and then we have kids that once they get trained, they'll leave with a kit with two.
What's the
doses.
training again?
For Naloxone training.
Okay.
Yes.
What is that?
Mostly for opiate overdoses. You know, it's good to have that on hand in case you come up with that situation. You never know. And so our staff, she was working in COVID. Now she's out of it. So she's doing a lot of trainings and trying to give the kids out.
Is there another name?
Narcan.
Narcan.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
I
I know they put naloxone on here.
And Chief, I know we probably have several kits, I'm guessing, in the fire department, and teams all trained on that as well. So we might look at doing something too with, for me, what comes to mind right away is our roads maintenance parks teams.
Mm-hmm.
They're so mobile,
Right.
and parks are a place where we might find somebody that would need that assistance, and time is of the essence. So I'd be interested in definitely getting some training here, collective boards, buy-in or consent to make sure we schedule some training for our staff, especially again the more mobile folks in vehicles. So we really would appreciate that. Cool. Thank you.
Yeah, I sent the flyer to Michelle. It has the contact information for Brittany, and you can just set that up with her, and she'll come out and do training.
Yep. Thank you so much.
All right, thank you.
All right. Any other agenda changes?
I do have a couple. Under Development and Zoning Report, I'd like to add the zoning open house update. And under Fire Report, I'd like to add approval of a purchase order for Phoenix Safety Outfitters. And then under executive session, we do not need item B anymore.
Okay.
That's it.
All right. We're going to move into executive session this morning. I'll make a motion to approve resolution 22-144, enter into executive session. The board will enter into executive session to discuss or to conference with Township attorneys concerning a dispute that is the subject of imminent litigation under revised code 121.22, section G3.
Second. Mrs. Faust?
Yes.
Ms. Knapp?
Yes.
Mr. Grumbles?
Yes, invited to attend is the Board of Trustees and our legal counsel and fiscal officer, and also Ms. Bonnie. Our HR director, if that's okay as well.
Sure.
Okay. You have anything on the consent agenda, right?
No, just the, no, there's no consent agenda. It's just minutes. Electronic record,
Yep.
I should say.
Shall we ready to go?
We are.
All right. Make a motion to approve resolution 22-145, return to regular session.
Second.
Mrs. Fowles?
Yes.
Ms. Knapp?
Yes.
Mr. Grumbles?
Yes. All right. In executive session, we discussed, we get the verbiage, we conferenced with council, township attorneys concerning a dispute that is subject of imminent litigation. All right. Make a motion to approve resolution 22-146, approving the electronic record of the proceedings from the regular meeting held on April 4th, 2022.
Second.
Mrs. Fowles?
Yes.
Ms. Knapp?
Yes.
Mr. Grumbles?
Yes. Chief?
Morning, Board. The only thing I have on the agenda today is dealing with our personal protective equipment. We have purchased a couple sets for the new firefighters. They're coming up to their year probation, so each firefighter has two sets. We purchased one in the beginning, and if they make it through the probationary period, we purchase a second. It's taken about 6 months to get the sets in, so we're purchasing now. They come off probation in June, so totals $12,000 for the gear.
And how many new firefighters was it?
So it's for the new firefighters that were hired back last year.
Any other questions? Make a motion to approve resolution 22-147, authorize the purchase for Phoenix.
Second.
Mrs. Fowles?
Yes.
Ms. Knapp?
Yes.
Mr. Grumbles?
Yes.
Thank you, Board.
Development zoning.
Good morning, Board. You do have the zoning report. I'll start with this Wednesday. We have a hearing with this board for Hidden Ravines Crossing rezoning application 21-07, also known as BJ's and surrounding developments. We're currently putting our finishing touches on the staff report. I apologize for not getting that to you before this weekend, but you will have that this afternoon to review for Wednesday's meeting. On Thursday night this week, we do have our Board of Zoning Appeals meeting. I went over these at our last trustee meeting, so these remain the same. Two patios that go into existing setbacks, as well as one egress window that will go into setbacks as well. Zoning Commission, we had a hearing last week on April 12th. To hear proposed amendments to our 23 overlay district. That case was continued, and we will meet again with the Zoning Commission on Tuesday, April 26th.
Can you keep us up to date on any feedback or proposed changes on that?
Absolutely, yes. And we're meeting this afternoon with legal counsel to review the changes that the Zoning Commission suggested, and after that we can send you a copy.
All right, great, thank you.
At that same meeting, we do have the Evans Farm application 2204. Again, that is to amend the alley width distances, the alleys in the single-family portions of Evans Farm moving forward. Should that be approved, we'll move from 20 feet to 15 feet.
Is that the first hearing for that application?
Yes, it will be.
Okay, and is there, is the fire department consulted on that?
Part of their application is, yes, they do have a letter from our fire chief stating support of the application.
You're okay with it?
Yes, it was. We talked with our fire marshal, and as long as we were okay with it, when we sat down with Evans Farm, the approach angles were the biggest concern for us, which they assured were going to be large enough for the trucks to be able to turn. So yes, we were okay with them. I did do a letter to them for that.
Okay, and it included like the approach angles or the turning radii or and
Yes.
all of that, and those all meet your specifications?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, because I'm very concerned about that. I feel like they came in with a certain plan, and then a little bit by bit, they're just eroding the whole plan. Like, it's going to be something completely different. So it's good to know that for safety reasons, though, that you approved of that. That was a big concern.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you.
And then we did have 2 applications for zoning commission that were originally scheduled for the next meeting in April. The applicant has requested that we delay those 2. So those are 2 rezonings from FR1 to single family plan residential. Essentially, they're lot splits that would not meet the FR1 requirements if they were split into the current zoning. So they will go into planned residential to split into 2 or 3 lots. Those were delayed at the request of the applicant. Those will now be heard on Tuesday, May 24th. And then as part of our agenda change this morning, Ms. Bonnie and I did want to bring up, we do have an open house scheduled on Wednesday, May 11th from 6 to 8 p.m. That is related to our zoning code rewrite project. So we are encouraging people to stop in. We will have 5 or 6 stations set up. Zoning staff will be here. Our consultant on the project will be here. So this is a chance for the public to stop in, learn about zoning, learn what zoning is and does, ask questions of staff, and also give feedback as to what the community would like to see in our zoning code rewrite. So we do have draft postcards. Our consultant has come up with some drafts. We won't be sending them out to every resident in the township, but we do plan to distribute them to HOAs and try to get the word out, as well as digitally via our website and social media as well. But if the board has any suggestions as to how to publicize that meeting, we would love to hear any suggestions or help that you can offer us.
My question is just timing on when those are going to be sent out. You know, sooner is always better. Sooner with the reminders, my philosophy.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
What day, I'm sorry, what day did you say that is?
That is Wednesday, May 11th from 6 to 8 p.m. Here in this room. So our consultant is, we essentially just gave him the okay on the final draft of the postcard, so those should be printed and ready to go either later this week or early next week.
Can we get it out electronically on the website, Facebook, all that kind of stuff?
Absolutely.
You know, this week?
Mhm.
Thank you.
And then we'll print out some for the next trustee meeting too. So any meetings we have moving forward, we'll just have them out, and we'll do as much outreach as we can.
Thank you.
With the BJ's application that you're going to handle, we have some information coming on that, I'm sure. And then have we any update on the legal discussion as far as economic development goes there?
So their revised application did include language that they are willing to opt into our new JED. We need to tweak the language a little more, but we'll have an exhibit ready for the trustee meeting to replace that in the application.
Okay, thank you.
Mhm.
I met with both of them, as I had mentioned in the last meeting, and they seemed open to working with the township, understood the purpose of the JED and investing in the infrastructure and development. It's going to ultimately benefit the business community. So I'm glad to hear that everything worked out with. Mm-hmm. They had mentioned being in touch with Mr. Gray, so that's good.
Yep.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good morning, board. The first 2 items today on the operations report are kind of tied together. They are relative to the 2022 road improvement project and 2 contracts with Decker Construction to initiate all the curb, gutter, and ramp replacements throughout our 2022 road improvement project. They're in 2 separate agreements just due to the funding of each portion of it. We typically spend around $90,000 to $100,000 every year on these things. And so One of those is before you. The second one is for another more significant project in High Meadows Village. That's also part of the road improvement project, but as I mentioned before, it'll be funded out of a different area, so there's two separate agreements. Decker will treat them like two separate agreements, but they may merge together with the same crews and similar timing as well.
So, how old are these gutters?
They vary throughout the township. Some of them upwards of 25, 30 years. Some of them are closer to 20.
So most of them pretty old?
Yeah.
Okay. Just seems like every year we've always done those, right? Every single year for
There's
like decades.
Yeah, there's quite a few of them.
It's constant.
Yeah, and some of the guidelines have changed over the last several decades as well. So now when we pave a road, we have to make sure all the ADA ramps are up to code and appropriate for the use. So some of those guidelines have changed over the last few decades as well. So there's some extra legwork instead of just repaving the asphalt. There is some damaged stuff and also some upgrades that need taken care of as well.
And this is the part where the grates like are recessing. Is it repair that?
Yeah, there'll be curb inlets. There'll be curb ramps. There'll be some gutters, which in curbs all along the side of the road. Some of them have the storm inlets with them, and some are just actual curb that's deteriorating or under drains that have been damaged as well.
Yeah, some of those are really bad.
Yeah.
As you know.
Yeah, we've found over the last couple of years here that, especially last year when we go to repave or redo some road work, that it wasn't always constructed and inspected appropriately the first time around several decades ago. So unfortunately, we're incurring the cost of some of those oversights from decades ago nowadays, which is unfortunately driving the cost up. Any other questions on the Decker construction? Okay, the next item I have for operations is a somewhat unfortunate but somewhat expected cost increase that's being passed along to the township for our pool for this year. Much like many other services and products across the globe, our sodium hypochlorite cost is going to be increasing substantially this year. With that being the case, CPM has requested a contract amendment, which has been vetted with legal. Just looking for approval on that in order to keep our pool running this summer. Funding will be shuffled around from some other accounts within our Parks Levy Fund in 2901. There are some alternatives down the road without knowing what the future costs are going to be, but there is some opportunity for us to expand our chlorine capacity at the pool. We're going to look into that more probably during the season this year in anticipation of future years. For right now, though, it's probably not a possibility for this current pool season, so we're going to look to amend the contract with CPM to keep operations going for this pool season. Next item is a formality to have a resolution to approve our application for the Clean Ohio Trails Fund through ODNR. We are looking at completing a trail project along the north side of Powell Road that will go from Old State all the way over to the Lyra Drive extension. It's being completed right now by the City of Columbus. As everybody probably recalls, that Powell Road stretch was closed for quite a while last year, being widened and utilities moved and everything. The county did not include a trail with that project. So this is a hopeful attempt at some funding to complete that leg of path that will provide a pretty vital connection for us. Obviously from Old State all the way through Walker Wood over to Lyra would allow access throughout the township all the way down to Polaris and eventually Westerville and everything else. So it's a pretty worthwhile project to look at, and we're hoping that some grant funding comes through to allow us to be able to complete that. Looking at likely a 2023 project, if not maybe into 24, but we're hoping for 23.
When you do that work, will you have to shut the road down, or you will do it because in the grass?
It's the county with their foresight. Although they didn't include the path, they did, for the most part, all along that whole stretch, plan for the path to go in at some point.
Is it on the north side of the telephone poles?
Yeah, it'll be in that vicinity. They did grade and move utilities for future consideration of the path. So a lot of the preliminary legwork that you typically see with a project like this has already been taken care of with the road projects the county did last year. All right, the next item is some wordsmithing in some previous resolutions that we had that pertains to the job descriptions for a couple staff members. After some further review, there were a couple items in there that just needed clarified a little more. And again, these are just wordsmithing things that are before you guys for approval today. And that is the bulk of the operations. Now, there's one other issue. Do you want me to go right into that to talk about the pool?
Go ahead.
Okay. Didn't know if you want to vet the other ones first or not. Okay, so with the North Orange Aquatic Center, our memberships are probably about 35% of what we sold last year. So numbers are coming in, people registering still daily, probably several dozen per day. So things are going well there. I have been contacted by a local daycare or two that have had relationships with the township in the past and taken advantage of the opportunities we provide to them to bring their daycares to the pools. One of the accommodations that was made last year was, when the township went to a model that only permitted residents to attend the pool, there was a caveat in there that members of the pool could purchase daily passes for as many non-members or guests of their party as they wished. Daycares in the past did not have to fall under any regulations, so when the township went to that policy, the kind of loophole for that was that any member could purchase any number of daily passes to let their family, friends, neighborhood, daycare, whatever in the pool. And with the push going more to membership and resident driven, I wanted to bring this before the board for discussion to see how we want to handle daycares this year, or if we want to follow last year's model. During the off season, when the pool closed last year, we put forth a survey to ask our membership how they felt about a whole variety of things, from concessions to operating hours to special events to memberships to costs, all the way down to allowing daycares. That was driven more from feedback we received throughout the year last year from members complaining about different things or asking different questions, or obviously sometimes giving praise to some of the operations as well. So for the board, I wanted to bring it before the three of you to discuss how we want to handle the daycares this year. One of the there's daycares that are within the township that come. There's a couple outside of the township that come. The current model would allow members to purchase as many day passes as they want, which then in turn could allow any business, any daycare, any school, any operation, anywhere in the country really to come to the pool and bring as many people as they wanted to. If the board would like to continue that way, completely fine. Just would like some direction. There's also, a consideration of resident businesses versus non-resident businesses. Just really like some direction from the board on how we want to address this, with also keeping in mind the safety of the patrons at the pool. Some of the feedback from the members throughout the survey was very close to 50-50 on whether or not daycares they should be permitted. Again, it was just feedback, but it's some data to consider. From a financial standpoint, there is some revenue that's generated by the daily passes, especially the daycares that were coming in. One of the caveats that we received from our pool management group was some of the oversight of the children at the pool last year. Sometimes daycares will maintain a different ratio of instructors or adults to kids. That could vary anywhere from 4 or 5 to 1 up to probably 15 to 1, 15 kids for one adult. So the oversight with that is something to consider as well. I know our guards did have to make several saves last year with some of the daycares. So there's certainly a whole bunch of working parts to this, but I would like the board to, discuss a little bit, maybe provide some direction for us going forward for the pool season.
We don't have a ratio of adults to children in our pool rules, right?
Correct.
Right, they just have to be 13 and over to be unaccompanied.
Correct.
Right, is that correct? Because I know the state ratios for daycares, in the classroom is depending on the age, 1 to 6 or 1 to 12 sometimes.
It's 1 to 12. It's kindergarten through 5th grade.
Yeah, but for preschoolers.
And I don't believe they bring preschoolers, right? Is it mostly elementary kids that are coming?
There is one group, no preschool on their list. They sent me. The one daycare sent me their lineup for the year of how often they plan to come and the dates and the ages and the grades and stuff.
No preschools at all? Did preschools?
Not to my knowledge, no.
So age 5 and up.
Yeah, kindergarten and up.
Okay. And how many of those did we have last year? You know, how many daycares or how many visits or?
They are almost 4 days a week throughout the entire summer.
Okay.
Different age groups and different days.
And what about like with camps? There's various camps where people will come in and bring the kids, you know, a whole group of kids. Have you seen that a lot last year? It's not actually daycare, it's like a summer camp.
My understanding is there was quite a bit of that in the past, and I know a lot of other local entities with pools deal with that quite a bit. We did not have any of that last year, to my knowledge, that I recall.
Yeah, would it be possible to, so if it's a non-resident daycare, do they pay the resident rate?
Yeah, we do not have a non-resident rate for the pool.
So at least,
Members may purchase daily passes for any of their guests they wish to purchase.
so at least one person in that, one child has to be a resident?
Correct.
Okay. I would think about maybe implementing a minimum ratio if that's legal, like 1 to, you know, except of course then you could have a parent with 6 of their own children or an in-home daycare. I don't know what's legal or not, but maybe you know, you have to have at least one parent per so many kids. We might implement that, but that could affect families or families that bring in, you know, cousins or whatever. But maybe that would be an answer, because I do think that it would be difficult to discriminate against non-residents or residents that just because they're in a daycare. Because I do know a lot of working parents want their kids to come to the pool on a regular basis, but they can't do it because, you know, they're working. So I would be in favor of keeping it, but maybe reducing the ratio of one person to the number of children.
I think that might be hard as far as an enforcement standpoint with the people that are at the pool day to day. But there could be a way to kind of work around that is to limit the daily passes per person too.
Then I would hate to say someone was having their child's birthday party and they invited 15 kids. They know you can't do that.
Yeah, that would happen.
Maybe though it has to be a certain age range, like ages up to, like, you know, maybe 5 to or 0. Well, would we say it could be kindergarten through like age? I mean, I know the big risk for drowning is like that under, you know, age 6 and under, right?
From speaking with our pool managers last year, there was saves made of all ages, adults included. Yes.
I know.
Yeah.
I know. When you shared that with me, I spoke with one of the directors at a daycare that participates. My children actually go to, and shared that there was some concern over that. And the part that I didn't understand, I can remember when our daughter was younger. They actually have a form that a release form the parents have to sign for their kids to participate, and they do a swim evaluation. So like our daughter wasn't allowed to go off the diving board for the first 3 years, and they put them in different groups. You know, if we did a daycare policy or something of that nature where there's a ratio to Trustee Knapp's point, and then some sort of visual indicator, so that you know, if you're wearing a blue wristband, you can't go off the diving board or something along those lines, so that if a lifeguard sees somebody with a blue wristband going up to the diving board, they can blow the whistle preemptively or something of that nature. So, you know, that it's not changing how we do every other policy or, you know, blanket policy change that would impact our residents, but also sends a message that we need partnership, you know, and some help with that. And I also think in that policy, you know, there could be a blanket policy where not just daycares, but if there's around disruptive behavior or violations and how we deal with that with all pool participants, not just daycares. So, for example, if the lifeguards make a save on a child, right? There's a form that gets filled out or something like that, and you know, after the same supervisory parent or what have you gets 3 forms, they can't come back because it's a threat to the community and their children or whoever. We'd have to vet this through legal counsel, but I think if we change, I do agree, if we change the policy, we've got to look at the consistency across the board, not just with the daycare. How they get to the pool, the entities, et cetera, is not something I think we can delve into managing. But I think what we could do is seek out a proactive kind of agreement, and for example, have them proactively providing the roster like the one facility did, and then maybe for the season or for at least on a weekly basis, having the passes, a roster of these are the daily pool passes, and the passes are included with that. And these are the resident members. So 2 separate lists, something to help that's more organized or structured. And I think that would go a long way towards efficiency. And then, if people are disrespectful or, what have you, we should deal with that the same we do anyone. And if they lose their privilege to participate in the pool, then that's part of it, right?
When they do a save, is there a form that like the lifeguard takes the parent and the child over to the desk and fill something out? Like, is that part of standard operating procedure?
Incident report?
Yeah, there's an incident report for every bump and scrape and little stuff. If they give out a Band-Aid, they fill out an incident report. But so yeah, everything beyond that would definitely generate one as well.
So maybe we can note, if it's a daycare or something, put it on the report so we're tracking incidents by, what's going on and its clarity there, and we can have a conversation. One of the board members, I'm happy to reach out to a daycare or any business or resident. There's a consistent issue there.
What's the ratio they usually bring in? Do we know?
It's got to be the legal 1 to 12.
Like 1 to 12?
Yeah, it's probably quite close to the high end.
And maybe we should look at someone looking at the safety standards, because there are a lot of swimming safety standards they recommend. I know at some of the pools they actually do have regulations, I think, on the number of supervision, the ratio. So we might actually even look, because even if someone does have a birthday party, would you really want one adult with,
exactly.
15 little kids? That actually, and I would be upset if I was a parent at a daycare and I had a 5-year-old and I knew that the one teacher was going with 12. I wouldn't be too happy. So we might actually look at just an overall policy that would apply 1 to 6, and if people, or whatever is recommended, and maybe just have that would help resolve it, because I am actually worried now about there not being enough parental supervision just overall. Just like when we added the 13-year-old limitation, I don't think we did that the first couple of years of the pool, but then it was like you had to be 10 or over or you had to have an adult, and then I think we changed that based on issues to 13. So this is something we could probably change. Do you want to maybe look into that? Because I'd still like them to come, but.
So my impression from the board is keep it as is, and then Silas and I can work on formulating some policy in the near future. And I will admit the pool is opening up next month, so we won't have something in place right away. But
look into some safety standards.
We just ask them, like,
That's
as our policy is in the process of being finalized, can we say it's all about the safety of the children. So
work with
you
us.
guys, please give us more adults and perhaps older. And I know that there's a lot of a variety of ages of staff at daycares. So can you give us the best?
And maybe they could keep
Then you also want
track.
the best for the baby. So
Well, and maybe they could even keep track as the daycare comes in. Hey, there was 1 adult and there was 12 kids. Maybe just keep an informal list just to see what kind of things are happening.
I think the main challenge that you expressed when we spoke was the logistics overall of having that many people show up in one swoop and kind of dumping passes, because the adults with the daycare center are trying to stay with the kids who are running in, and everybody's so I think if we get in front of the logistical challenge and say, hey, we want to work with you on a plan so that when you show up, there's alignment. There's some proactive alignment, and we know what to expect. You know what to expect, and we want it to work for everybody, right? Because they'll understand. You're bringing 50 kids at one go, or whatever the number is, right? Jumping off a bus and heading in. It's not sustainable to do that during rush hour repeatedly and expect the folks, our providers, 2 people at the front to be able to deal with a big queue like that efficiently. So that's where I think if we communicate out, do some brainstorming with them and say, look, we want to work with you, but we need help to make this seamless as possible. And while you all work on that, we can come up with a few ideas, and I'll call all of them that are coming and talk with the directors there and or the other board members can if they're familiar with them. Go from there.
So for clarification, does the board want to see any changes to limiting daily pass purchases from members?
No,
Okay.
not for now.
Okay. So so the daycares that want to come in that have non-residents will still require a member to purchase those for however many people they want to bring in. Okay.
And then I think the takeaway here is we want to revisit, if I've heard collectively, want to revisit the kind of ratio standard, make sure that we're cognizant of that, maybe some sort of agreement with the daycares or businesses. On the legal side, we'll have to vet, and then
Well, even just overall, even for
Yeah.
residents,
Yeah.
I mean, 1 to 15. And I always thought we had something in there, but there's nothing in the rules
I mean,
ratio. I always thought there was, but
Here-
it's been a while.
here's the nuts and bolts of how it kind of goes down. If you want to bring 15, 12-year-olds to the pool, you can bring them to the pool. The parent will sign them in, drop them off, and a lot of times they'll leave. So there'll always be somebody there to drop them off, but they don't always stay. And that's what happens with the daycares on a daily basis. There'll be a member there with them to say, hey, these are all my guests. They're coming in. That person doesn't stay. They're out the door. And
But someone's still staying with the children, correct?
somebody will, but it won't be the member that bought all the day passes. So, and that can happen with any age group. I mean, you can bring in 10-year-olds, just say, hey, go have fun with your friends today. I'll be at Kroger.
No, that could happen to anybody though. Like I could go to
Absolutely.
the pool and buy passes and then leave,
Correct. And that's one of the questions about if we limit daily passes, does it provide more direction or more supervision, whatever. And that's, again, I'm just trying to provide ideas and whatever. So if we don't limit it, that's fine. That won't be an issue. We can definitely look at the ratios and maybe institute something with a policy for the daycares that want to come.
I think
and
the
mandate
incident
something.
report too,
Yeah, and
making
maybe
sure we're tracking that.
if we were to know get a report that showed how many daycare kids actually came in every day, every week, or every month, because I don't have any reference point as that, like how many kids come in every week.
We can't track that through the rec desk software, right? Because it just
No,
tracks.
it's daily passes or members, yeah.
So we
Yeah.
need something additional, we're asking the staff.
Yeah, but if we want to make a policy decision, we need to get the information to make the decision. If we're being asked to make a decision without data, then it would be kind of hard to do that.
Yeah, I think we're going to ask the daycares to cooperate as far as being proactive. So
Yeah, which they do. They'll provide a roster for us with a list of who the members are on their roster, and because the kids don't have fobs necessarily. Our new system will provide pictures and photos of the kids, so we'll always be able to verify that. But
They don't pay if they have a pass, right? If the
Correct.
child has a pass. So if you're already collecting the daycare rosters, then
yeah, it's just creating a secondary report that we don't currently do.
yeah, and that again, if you're asking us to make a policy change, you should be able to justify it with the.
I'm not asking for a change. I'm just asking for discussion.
all right,
So we have direction.
here is mud.
I think I know we know what to do.
Yeah.
Keep it as is for now, and then Silas and I will brainstorm and.
Yeah, but if you came back to us and said, well, there's 500 or 1,000 kids coming every week to the pool from the daycare, then that might make us reconsider.
But I want to know if you know daycares that are coming. I only know of one, but if you know of others,
Yeah,
I'd like to
well-
contact them myself and just say, look, anything you can do on the front end while we're brainstorming this new policy, a listing or a roster, if you will. And even I think it's fair to ask for a roster of the adults so that if you have a problem, you know by name who to ask for. Hey, who are you here with? Oh, I'm here with, XYZ. Okay. Then you can get on the, will someone, by this name or whatever. it would be nice to have that information. I mean, it's in everyone's best interest.
And we would have that, you would be able to get that from everybody else because unless you're a guest, because we are scanned in through our phones.
Correct.
So.
Correct.
All right. Okay, any other questions?
No.
All right.
Thank you.
Make a motion to approve Resolution 22-148, authorizing the Director of Operations to enter into an agreement with Decker Construction Company and agree to authorize the issuance of a purchase order to Decker Construction Company in the amount of $254,177 regarding High Meadow curb and gutter replacement.
Second.
Mrs. Faust?
Yes.
Ms. Knapp?
Yes.
Mr. Grumbles?
Yes. Make a motion to approve Resolution 22-149, authorizing the Director of Operations to enter into an agreement with Decker Construction Company and agree to authorize the issuance of a purchase order to Decker Construction Company in the amount of $90,000 regarding curb and gutter replacement within Orange Township.
Second.
Mrs. Faust?
Yes.
Ms. Knapp?
Yes.
Mr. Grumbles?
Yes. Make a motion to approve Resolution 22-150, authorizing the Director of Operations to enter into a contract amendment with Columbus Pool Management regarding sodium hypochlorite purchasing.
Second.
Mrs. Faust?
Yes.
Ms. Knapp?
Yes.
Mr. Grumbles?
Yes. Make a motion to approve Resolution 22-151, approving an application to participate in the Ohio Department of Natural Resources through Recreational Trails Program and/or Clean Ohio Trails Fund, and to execute contracts as required for East Powell Road Trail Phase 2 project.
Second.
Mrs. Faust?
Yes.
Ms. Knapp?
Yes.
Mr. Grumbles?
Yes.
And for that resolution, who are you authorizing to do? There's a blank for a resolution authorizing.
Authorize Silas Bowers.
Okay.
And then I would just ask on that, we had several residents that reached out on the Powell Road change, asking what happened and why it didn't get, completed, et cetera. I'd like to post on our social media platforms that we are pursuing funds so that we can complete that, just so they know we're working towards it. There were several calls about that. Make a motion to approve Resolution 22-152 to amend Resolution 21-286, approving the job description and assigning the employment position of the Parks and Facilities Manager, the Parks Maintenance and Facilities Manager, to Mike Kelly.
Second.
Mrs. Faust?
Yes.
Ms. Knapp?
Yes.
Mr. Grumbles?
Yes. And I make a motion to approve Resolution 22-153 to amend Resolution 22-125, approving the job description and assigning the Public Works Manager position to Aaron James.
Second.
Mrs. Faust?
Yes.
Ms. Knapp?
Yes.
Mr. Grumbles?
Yes. All right, Fiscal Office Report.
Okay, let's start off with our March financial report. We got our first half property tax in late March, which bumped up our ending cash balance to $27,399,036.39, which is approximately $19 million of which is in investments. We've got $9.2 million in Fifth Third, 9.5 with Star Ohio. I did move some of that money from First Commonwealth into Star Ohio just to earn a little bit extra interest on it while it sits for a couple months before we need it for just general payroll and things like that. Our fund or department cash balances, general fund is $8.1 million, roads at $2.9 million, fire at $8 million, and parks at $5.5 million. Our expenses through March 31st are $4.7 million with tax revenue $7.2 million. Like I said, we just got that property tax installment payment. So the next resolution is to move some money around from contingency, some of which to pay for our roof, and the other $17,000 to pay for. We got a then and now that the board approved last meeting for $17,072 that we needed to appropriate. So that's what this is, so we can pay the PO that was approved at the last meeting. Moving on to the Voyager card authorization. We missed the zoning vehicle, so that's all that is adding the zoning vehicle for the gas card. And then the last one I have is for a credit card authorization for Kim with Silas's group. Mr. Duffy here, zoning director, as well as Mr. Worley. He has
he does a lot of purchases that currently the chief is having to handle, and so this will simplify that purchase process. Oh, I guess I do have one more. I have the liquor license. And liquor license, I just need consensus one way or the other. It's for RTJ Restaurants, LLC, doing business as Donato's Pizza on 1263 Cameron Avenue, whether or not you would like to hold or not hold a liquor license hearing for that license.
Is this the new Donato's?
No, I think Cameron is right there by
Oh,
Fleet
it's
Feet
the
and
one that's-
Aspen. Yeah.
Yeah, okay. So is this a new liquor license or just like we're
I don't know that they have liquor.
current?
Yeah.
So they didn't have a.
Donato's? I know Triantos does. I don't know if Donato's does.
I went there a while, a long time. They had cans.
I don't
Maybe
know.
it's a
Is it
renewal or
modification?
something.
Yeah.
I don't know.
That's
Maybe they got caught.
no hearing from Ms. Knapp. Mrs. Faust, you're good with no hearing, and so is Mr. Grumbles. Thank you.
Any questions from the board?
No.
Nope.
Make a motion to approve resolution 22-154, revising and or increasing permanent appropriations, establishing resolution 20-401.
Second?
Mrs. Faust,
Yes.
Ms. Knapp,
Yes.
Mr. Grumbles.
Yes. Make a motion to approve resolution 22-155, authorize the fiscal office to obtain a Voyager gasoline card for vehicle 417ZAX.
Yes. Oh, second.
Mrs. Faust,
Yes.
Ms. Knapp,
Yes.
Mr. Grumbles.
Yes. Make a motion to approve resolution 22-156, authorize the fiscal office to obtain credit cards, the First Commonwealth Bank for administrative assistant Kim Mahaney, zoning director Robin Duffy, and mechanic William Worley.
Second?
Mrs. Faust,
Yes.
Ms. Knapp,
Yes.
Mr. Grumbles.
Yes. All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Ms. Bonnie?
Yes, thank you. So I'll actually have Mike Kremnitzer speak on this more, but we did complete the interview process for both the events and communications coordinator and our human resources intern. And Mike, I'll let you take it from here.
Okay, great. Morning, board. What you have before you are two resolutions for appointments. The first one is for Carolina Flynn for the events and communications coordinator position. Had numerous candidates, I would say 15 to 20. We interviewed quite a few as well, and we narrowed it down to two individuals, and then Silas, myself, and Val landed on Carolina Flynn as her choice. You can see the start date we're looking at next week, April 25th. Get her on and get her going. The second one is actually for an HR intern, Nick Sanchez Zarcos. We met Nick in February at the Ohio State Career Fair. He actually came by our booth, and really nice young man. I had a good conversation with him. Told him, hey, if this interests you, go ahead and apply. He's a business major, and lo and behold, he did. So we would like to ask the board to appoint him for that HR intern position.
He's from the Township.
Awesome.
Yes, he's local.
Any questions? No. Make a motion to approve resolution 22-157, appointment of Carolina Flynn to full-time position of events and communications coordinator and establishment of compensation.
Second.
Mrs. Faust,
Yes.
Ms. Knapp,
Yes.
Mr. Grumbles.
Yes. Make a motion to approve resolution 22-158, appointment of Nicholas Sanchez Zarcos to human resources intern and establishment of compensation.
Second?
Mrs. Faust,
Yes.
Ms. Knapp,
Yes.
Mr. Grumbles.
Yes.
Thank you, board.
Anything else?
We do have a new business item, but given for sake of time, and would like to ask the trustees to schedule a special meeting for this. The new business items involve establishing a mission statement and core values. I guess so. I mean,
Can we just put that on the first meeting in May?
We do Wednesday? Have we already published Wednesday's agenda and everything?
oh, for the BJ's application.
Do it before the BJ's application or after?
After?
What time is it?
It's at 6.
We could do it next week too. I mean, we're trying to wrap up the handbook, and it would be great if we understood, what our mission is and our core values are before finalizing that.
Fully agreed.
At 5 o'clock on Wednesday?
right before.
An hour enough?
Can you do 5 o'clock on Wednesday?
Of course.
Okay.
Is an hour enough time?
Oh, that's it. I don't think we should.
I hope so.
Hour.
Okay,
Yeah.
all right.
We'll do a special meeting notice for that tomorrow.
Okay, thank you. Take a motion to approve resolution 22-159, meeting adjournment.
Second?
Mrs. Faust?
Yes.
Ms. Knapp?
Yes.
Mr. Grumbles?
Yes. All right, thank you, everyone. Meeting adjourned.
Have checks for signature. You wanna even sign them right here. There we go. Lisa signed a couple of those payment vouchers already.
You've got to go to the county.